Will Johnson, if you thought Tucker Carlson didn't like Israel and didn't like the Jews, wait till you meet Buckley Carlson, his big, or actually could be little brother, I'm not sure which. The point being is that Tucker and Buckley are one pair that you just cannot believe. And quite frankly, you don't want to know anything about them because they are one scary brother and brother. What I mean by specifically, and what has me so upset about these guys, is that the slaughter that just took place in Australia, that was witnessed now 10 or 20 million times, and I'm not joking, according to Buckley Carlson, is a false flag event put on by the Mossad. Now, for those of you in ATP land that don't know what a false flag is, here's the definition from the dictionary: a political or military act orchestrated in such a way that it appears to have been carried out by a party that is not in fact responsible. So, in other words, these two Muslim guys, father and son, slaughtered as many Jews as they could before the police finally intervened after 10 minutes after arriving on the scene. And these two clowns, specifically, that's Tucker on the left and Buckley on the right, have now ganged up together. Buckley has made the comment, which is just insulting to the intelligence of any human being on planet Earth. And he's suggesting that the Israelis killed all these Jews, and it wasn't the two Muslims screaming Allah Akbar. It wasn't the two Muslims that had ISIS flags and bombs in their car. It wasn't the two Muslim father and son that went to the Philippines to get trained for a month by ISIS. All that's come out so far. It wasn't them. It was Israelis orchestrating this. And then he says that the injuries were faked and key details were fabricated. He said, listen to this: Zionist networks and intelligence staged shooting incidents and described the attack in Sydney, which has been seen tens of millions of times, as theater. And terrorism like this is a pretext to new free speech restrictions. This is what they're talking about. And people are repeatedly posting in response, you are one sick, blah, 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 over and over and over again. It's unbelievable. Again, despicable scumbag on the right, and his brother with a worldwide platform is despicable scumbag number two. I can't tell you how many times I've watched it. It is so disgusting. It is so violent. It is so bloody. And the Carlson brothers think it was faked. They have really sunk to a level of disgust and subhumanity that I never expected from Tucker Carlson, let alone his brother, who I never knew anything about before.
Yeah. You know what, Barry? I didn't even know Tucker Carlson had a brother. But I guess the apple
before today, excuse me, I'd never heard of his brother.
I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Say that fast 5 times. I guess maybe it's all about the money too. I mean, maybe he worked it in there. Hey, we're gonna get you paid, bro, and we'll just got this whole agenda. I still don't get it. I don't get it about Tucker.
Well, obviously you've seen the video, and you've seen the shooters, and it is horrible. I mean, they killed children and old people and a rabbi and Holocaust survivors. Something like 56, 57 people were shot. And if they hadn't been taken down, they had enough weaponry and magazines to probably kill 200-300. There were thousands of people. It was a Hanukkah celebration at the beach. But the idea that it would be minimized as a fake, so as not to feel the humanity and the empathy for the dead, wounded, and the terror that these guys created, is so despicable. And then, Tucker's since made comments, that Zionism is oppositional to Western values, and all kinds of attacks on Israel as a result of this. And I mean, this is Tucker, frequently accuses Israel of genocide in Gaza, which has been disproven by almost every legitimate investigative branch of every government in the world. I guess it's all about the money, and he's been bought hook, line, and sinker by Qatar's money, not only investing in his company, but reinvesting in his company. And that now he's buying a house there because that's a good place for Christians to live in Qatar, where it's illegal to mention you're a Christian. You can only worship in a little zone about this big. And if you mention Christianity to a Muslim, just mention it, you'll be imprisoned. It's a horrifically anti-Christian place to be. But according to Qatar, they love Tucker. And according to Tucker, he loves Qatar or Qatar, depending how you pronounce it. So he can have a new base of operations, even though he said anyone that moves and owns a place in a foreign country like Israel is a traitor. And then the next week, right after he says that, he goes to the home of Hamas, the home of Islamic fundamentalism and training and funding, and he buys a house there.
I wonder if they give him a really good discount.
That's what everyone's saying. That's the way he can say they didn't buy it for me, but it might be a $5 million house that he buys for $500,000.
Yeah.
The escrow is not being made public. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
So how is it that, so let me understand, Barry. They're suggesting that the incident that took place in Australia, where these Muslim terrorists decided to kill Jewish people at a Jewish festival, was staged. Am I to believe that's the narrative that they're pushing?
That's what Buckley says.
So
Buckley
what is
Carlson, and it was reinforced by Tucker.
So what is the benefit of them staging it again?
That it would create sympathy for Jews by slaughtering Jews. And by the way, a lot of people didn't really die. It was faked. So all the people that witnessed all the deaths and all the ambulances and all the surgeries and so on, it was faked. Are you clear on this?
Is it the Candace Owens playbook we're talking about here?
I guess, that's a really good question. And I like you for asking it, because it's as stupid as Candace saying. I'm waiting for her to come out and retweet the Carlson brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're saying the Carlson brother, I had no idea that he had a brother, and his brother is just insane as he is. I wonder, maybe his brother was insane a long time ago and Tucker just got on board, because Tucker used to be on point. Tucker used to be an advocate. He used to stand up for Israel. He said Israel should be able to exist. And now he's saying the complete opposite. Maybe, you know what? It has to be money. Yeah, it has to be money. It has to be with these gifts. They're throwing all this stuff at him. And he's like, I don't care. It's about, give me money.
Well, dude, he got it. Millions and millions and millions. And he ain't the guy that I used to be a big fan of, and he ain't the guy that used to be a big fan of. He went independent and fell down the rabbit hole of radical Islam big bucks.
Yeah.
Speaking of big bucks or absence thereof, you got to feel really sorry for Joe Biden at this point. Every single ex-president gets a library, and that's where they put their papers and their mementos of their career. Obama's library in Chicago is like a freak show, and it's not done yet. I didn't want to get into it, but I'm just giving you a reference point. The Ronald Reagan library is spectacular. George Bush has one. Clinton has one.
Double Y, trailer park.
Probably. Biden has been unable to raise any money for his library.
Really?
They set the budget at $200 million, and people are saying online that he'll be lucky if he can raise enough money for a bookmobile. I don't know if you know what that was, but when I was little, the bookmobile was like a mobile home that drove around and you could check out books, and they had like 50 books, and you could get kids' books in there, and there would be a little library that would come to your school in the parking lot. Joe Biden has been trying to raise money, and that's the face of the fundraising. And it said that in all of 2024, if you want to know how much he raised out of his goal of 200 million, I'm going to blow you out of your seat. They raised zero. No Democrat donors want anything to do with his library. So they have now said that they will transfer the $4 million left over from his 2021 inauguration, and that will start the library. But he needs another 196 million, and they've raised zero, nothing,
Wow.
not a single donation has come in. This is really bad. They're going to call it. It's going to be at the University of Delaware, and maybe they're going to raise money from Biden Hall there at the University of Delaware and merge that with the library. But nobody wants to give any money. Big donors are saying we're bitter about Biden's time in office, his refusal to drop out of the 2024 race until the last minute. His aides have been offensive to the donors. One longtime Democrat donor named John Morgan, his top donor, said he would not give a penny for the library after how poorly he was treated by Biden's staff. He said the Biden staff, they ruined any type of good library for him. He'd be lucky to get a bookmobile. Meanwhile, President Trump has his planned library in Miami, and he's on his way to raising $950 million for his library.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. I mean,
yep.
Could he not just buy a building for $4 million and throw some stuff in it? He just needs one thing in there, just one thing that will complete his whole administration.
What, the auto pen? Really? Did I guess it right? That's perfect.
That's it. That's it. That just right there in the center of the room, $4 million building, and just have the auto pen and call it a done deal.
They could put it on a little stand with a plexiglass cover on it, with one of those lines on the floor. You don't cross the line to get too close to it.
And put a light
and be
on top of it.
Oh, yeah. Like the Hall of Presidents that Trump built in the White House. So you've got everyone from Washington through to Trump. And the Biden picture is a picture of the auto pen.
Yeah. So in his presidential library, the entire room is dark except for right there in the center with the auto pen is a light on it.
They could do that for 20 million or whatever. He has $4 million left over from his campaign, or actually his inauguration, and that would be enough. They could rent a building and auto pen it, and bingo.
Well, and the cover of the walls, they can just put pictures from Hunter Biden up there that he painted.
Oh, painted. The ones that were going for like $10 million until he got indicted and nobody wants them anymore.
Yeah. He could sell more paintings to raise money, but no one's buying those either.
I love it. We'll follow up in case they raise any money, but I'm not very hopeful for it. There's an Obama appointed judge. This is really disgusting. She's being slammed for praising an illegal immigrant who broke into the country, raped a woman disabled with cerebral palsy, and the judge refused to give him a long sentence and let him out, calling him, quote, an ambassador for living up to our immigration restrictions. So listen to this story. This is going to make your hair curl. I swear to God. So this judge is facing tremendous backlash for praising this illegal immigrant who raped a woman with cerebral palsy. Let me show you the guy. This is Eddie's Renan Mobreno Diaz. This is him. There's the good-looking guy. He broke into the United States illegally 7 times. He pulled this woman with cerebral palsy into a laundry room at her apartment building and raped her in Detroit. Judge Judith Levy let him out of prison early because she said that he had apologized and he's going free after only a couple years in jail. Normally, this guy would have been gone for a very, very long time. But he said he was sorry. He said people shouldn't break into the country 7 times. And he promises to go back to Honduras. Now, he was supposed to serve 15 years. She let him out early. And because he said in his speech, he advised other people not to break into the United States. Are you listening? So he was sorry. And she said, okay, you can get out. She said, this is her quote. I agree that you committed a horrible crime and you've taken responsibility for it. You've expressed remorse. and you're serving a sentence as punishment for that conduct. So I commend you. This is her speech. I'm reading it. I commend you for supporting your family, for expressing your devotion to them, and for working in the United States in jobs that Americans apparently do not want to work in, and certainly not for the wages that you are undoubtedly abusive of your work for them. I see someone who's stepping forward to take responsibility and to gain insight into what led you to commit that crime of sexual assault and this one of illegal entry. You can go 7 times. You break into China once and they catch you, they either kill you or put you in a forced labor camp forever.
Yes, until you die.
Yeah, if they don't kill you first. This guy, 7 times, brutally raped a disabled lady, but made a nice speech, and the judge goes, okay, you can go. In this case, the federal prosecutors demanded the judge review the case, demanded more time. She threw out their appeal of the sentence. And this gentleman, and I use that word very loosely because he made a nice speech, is going back to Honduras 7 times and a brutal rape. And I won't read you what else he did to the woman because it's really ugly. But he apologized to his wife and family.
You know what, Barry? Here lately, I've been all over social media as much as I can, expressing how much the left. Now, you didn't tell me that this judge was left leaning, right leaning. You didn't tell me any of that, but I'm gonna go on a limb here and say the judge is 100% left leaning because there's no judges out there other than those on the left or just the left in general that are not advocating, fighting for, supporting these MS-13s, these Tre de Agua, now the narco terrorists, every criminal that's coming to the country, every criminal that hit the spotlight of any sort, it's always the left that comes to the rescue. Now, I don't know why our society is even allowing this to be acceptable and why people have it in their mind and say, well, okay, you come into the country 7 times illegally, you committed this heinous crime, just a terrible crime. Is the judge a woman herself or is it a male? And so we have a woman, female judge on top of that. It just goes to show that they constantly support terrorist criminals and they're open about it. What happens if it was her? Oh, it's okay. You get a pass. You get to go. I don't understand. What is wrong with this picture? What happened to upholding the law? 7 times? And it doesn't even count the ones in New York. I forget the young lady's name. The guy was on the subway and he just decided to puncture her neck. And how many times was he apprehended? Multiple times. They like letting these criminals back out into the street so they can create more criminal activity. And then they just go, you're sorry? Oh, okay. You're free to go. Just next time, don't get caught.
Don't minimize it. He also made a nice speech. And she said he worked jobs that other people didn't want. I don't know how she determined that. This is so far into libtard mania. And these people, these judges want to, I guess, destroy society and break it down. A guy like this ought to be put away forever. Just the 7 times breaking into the country, he might have gotten 50 years. And rape and brutal assault on a disabled person, that's another 30 years. He's going to be out next year, serving just a couple of years. I mean, I'm just
It's sickening.
Away.
It's sickening.
Yep, totally. Speaking of sickening crimes, Carl Reiner's son, who I used to love on this show, All in the Family, when I was a kid, Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, were brutally murdered a few days ago. According to the police, the perpetrator is their son. That's Rob and Michelle, and that's Nick, who had apparently trouble with drugs, had been out of rehab a number of times, had an explosive temper, and the police say he did it. Now, obviously, it's alleged until proven otherwise, but I don't know what the police know that we don't, but they were at a party the night before, the whole family, and he was threatening his parents. The story, though, is what President Trump said. First, let me give you the backstory. Since 2015, Rob Reiner has been attacking Donald Trump in social media ferociously. that he's, not intelligent, that he's a dictator, that he's going to destroy America. I read about 100 tweets. I mean, Rob Reiner has been going after Donald Trump since 2015 and ferociously, ferociously. Having said that, I'm having trouble with what Donald Trump tweeted out on Truth Social. This is what he said. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. Reiner was known to have driven people crazy and added that his paranoia reached new levels after the administration exceeded expectations. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. I've always been one of those people that adheres to the rule, let the dead alone. Don't speak ill of the dead, especially the day after they've been brutally murdered by their kid. What do you make of this? Is Trump justified in a statement like that Nick, the kid, killed Rob and Michelle, the parents, because of Donald Trump and Trump derangement syndrome, or maybe he was just mentally ill and on drugs? What do you think?
I don't think, me personally, because I think the country's so divided right now and people are sick and tired of the left and how hateful they are. President Trump's statements were about when he was alive. He's not saying, good riddance. President Trump is not celebrating it. And at the very end of the statement, rest in peace. Now, if President Trump was happy celebrating that he died in such a horrible act, he would have said, good riddance, don't ever come back, and I hope you don't vote. He could have said something like that. Right? I mean, let's just be real about it.
Okay, yeah, that would have been worse.
Yeah, he could have said that. Now, I've seen videos have surfaced with Rob Reiner where he just was completely despicable. He openly said he hated Trump. Yeah, he hated Trump. He said Trump couldn't do anything, nothing. He said he wouldn't even urinate on President Trump if President Trump was on fire. And you know what, Barry? The left, they celebrated Charlie Kirk's death. They were angry because the assassins failed to assassinate President Trump. They were angry about it. They were angry because they failed to put President Trump behind bars. President Trump made a statement about when he was alive, when he was an actor and et cetera, and he said, rest in peace. Everything he said was factual, and they didn't like it.
But hold it. And believe me, I've read what Rob Reiner said, and some of it was just horrible, horrible stuff. I totally agree with you. But to say he was killed by someone afflicted with Trump derangement syndrome because I guess Rob and the son hated Trump, I don't know. That's really going out on a limb. I got a problem with that one.
I mean, I'm surprised they haven't come out and said that his son was a MAGA Republican.
That could be next.
I was really surprised. I'm like, somebody's going to say it. Let me just say it for him, right? And, President Trump put the statement out there because he has made some horrible comments about President Trump. And regardless that he's in the position of being the president, he still is allowed freedom of speech. They want to silence President Trump. And me personally, Barry, I know a lot of people say you never speak ill of the dead. Did he actually even speak ill of him? Other than, he told the truth about him. He was suffering from TDS. I would rather someone be honest about Will Johnson.
But I don't want to argue with you about it, but he didn't kill himself. He had TDS, but he didn't die from it. He died because his son allegedly stabbed him to death multiple times and then stabbed his mom to death multiple times. Yeah. I don't know what Trump has to do with it. That was his political belief at the time of his death. Anyway, I just think he could have been a little kinder. That's all.
Let me put it like this then. Okay. Can we say kind words about Hitler?
I knew you were going to bring that up. And I don't have an answer to that. Okay. like bam. You know, you're right. Okay. No, you can't. The worst person that ever lived.
But again, the worst thing in that whole statement is President Trump said he was suffering from TDS.
Yeah,
if TDS is not a real thing, then why get upset?
All right. I got your point. You got my point. Let's move on. At Bondi Beach, or Bondi Beach, however you say it, I'm not Australian, 16 people were murdered, 40 something else were shot by a father and son that were apparently trained by ISIS in the Philippines. They came back to Australia. They're Australian citizens. They were screaming Allah Akbar as they were reloading numerous long rifles, as they were mowing down as many people as they could. This is the son. He's still alive with several gunshots. He's in the hospital. The father was killed. The point I want to make in this section, that episode, Will, is that this should not be a shocker. The Muslims that have emigrated into Australia have for years been having these mass demonstrations like we are seeing here in this country, like in Austin, in Minnesota, in Michigan, in New York, where they take over streets. They've been screaming "Gas the Jews" on a regular basis. On a Melbourne train a week ago, a rabbi and his two children, 8 and 14, were screamed at and shoved around on the train as Muslims were screaming, "Go to the gas chambers." "Gas the Jews" has been a common chant in downtown Sydney, where thousands of them gather. These are people that want to overthrow the Australian government. They want to implement Sharia law, the same thing they want to do in the United States, the same thing they're already doing in London, Paris, Antwerp, and elsewhere throughout Europe. And this shouldn't be a shock, even though it is shocking, that by tolerating these demonstrations and these street takeovers and the fact that the mosques are celebrating these murders, shame on us as a society. And I mean the West, our country, Australia, and all of Europe. And let's not forget Canada. It's getting worse by the week. It's literally getting worse by the week. And we're allowing it to happen by not cracking down and sending these people back, because they don't want to be Australian. They want to be Muslims within Australia, and they're saying it publicly today. We want Sharia in Australia. We will take over this country by the fact that we are out producing with babies the native Australians. The same thing is here.
Yeah.
The same thing is here.
Yeah. That's the agenda worldwide. They've made it clear that they're going to outproduce children than everybody else. And then they're going to raise all their children with the Islamic belief. And that's how they believe in world domination is going to take place. You're 100% correct.
They call it jihad by immigration and population. Remember, it's a struggle, and they think long term. We're short term. We're Westerners. We think, I hope my kids have a good life. They're thinking 3 generations away.
Yeah.
They will be the majority religion in Great Britain and in France in 1 to 2 more generations. And then they will get themselves elected. And under Sharia, there will be no more elections, because they don't believe in voting. They believe in an autocracy run by their mullahs, their religious leaders, who just follow the dictates of Muhammad. And we've covered it a lot. That's one crazy, revolutionary, violent belief system. And like I say to everybody, if you don't believe me, read the book.
Yep.
It's free on Kindle. If you get the enhanced version, it's 99 cents. Or you can buy the book for $6 or $7. I hope you're reading it. I keep telling you every week, you got to get educated, right?
Yep.
By the way, one more thing. The father and son who murdered and massacred these people at the Hanukkah party were at the Gas the Jews demonstration, which was 2 days after the October 7th massacre of 2 years ago. There was a big demonstration in Australia supporting what happened on October 7th in Israel. And the Australian government watched it and didn't do a thing about it. Unbelievable. I found this video the other day, and it's a perfect demonstration why Chuck Schumer is so phenomenally unpopular. He's the Senate Minority Leader. He used to be the Senate Majority Leader. He's the guy that cannot make a speech in public of 3 or 4 lines, let alone an hour, that's not written down. So he does this and reads everything that somebody writes for him. This is what he said the other day, which is so shocking that I can't believe he's shocked that he's going to be primaried apparently by AOC, who's maybe the craziest person in the Senate, potentially. She's right now in the House and will easily defeat him for senator from New York. Look at the speech and tell me what you think of Chuck Schumer.
Of course, I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay? So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal.
I saw that. He
What an idiot. What a colossal idiot.
How do you mix the two like that? He doesn't. You're right. He has nothing to say. He didn't know what to say. So he just went to go Bills. Are you kidding me? People have lost their lives. Wait a minute. Chuck Schumer. Barry.
Get a clue, bro. Get a clue.
Is he not Jewish?
Yeah. Yeah.
What am I missing here?
Well, you're looking at it the same way I did. I thought it was one of those Babylon Bee things. And then I checked it. And the voters in New York are just nuts over this. I got to say something about the horrible things in Sydney, but like I always say, go Bills.
He's lost it. He's already lost it. And AOC is going to primary because he's part of the old guard, that needs to go away. And they want to replace it with more radical. Not that he's not radical himself, but they need someone who's extreme in their radicalism when it comes to liberalism. And they want to change the whole structure of the Democrat Party to be full-on communist. So Madami, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, they're probably in Presley. They're probably going to bring Fire Marshal Bowman back in there. They're going to bring every radical one. Yeah. Every radical liberal that they can, they want them to be at the top of the food chain when it comes to the Democrat Party. And they've shown it to us. And they're not hiding it, Barry. And you know what? They believe that they need to do this because of President Trump. President Trump, he's not a rhino Republican. He's not even a Republican establishment. He is not any of them. He's not part of the deep state. He's not part of the globalists. He's not part of the elitists. He's his own entity. And this is part of the reason why they can't stand him, because he doesn't take any orders from any of them. So now you have Chuck Schumer, which he's been taking orders, especially in the shutdown, the Democrat shutdown that they keep trying to blame the Republicans on. Chuck Schumer was taking the orders from AOC. You better not shut it down or I'm going to shut you down in the primary. And guess what? You're still getting shut down, Chuck Schumer. But how about those bills? I mean, come on.
Leave it right there. That is the single dumbest statement I've ever heard by a sitting. I mean, he was incredibly powerful. He still is. And you can see why he's got, in the entire Senate, there's 100 senators. He is ranked the lowest. Yeah. And he's the Senate minority leader.
Well, the only reason why they would keep him around because he's a fundraiser. He can raise a lot of money. That's the only reason why. But AOC, which a lot of them, they've been sleeping on her. She's been raising a lot of money too. And she's been raising money from these small donors. That's where she's been getting her money from, the small donors.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So a closing story about what happened in Australia as the two shooters were yelling Allah Akbar as they reloaded to keep shooting Jews as fast as they could. This is a young gal, 10 years old, Matilda, who was murdered by these barbarians as they were screaming Allah Akbar and killing men, women, and children, old people, young people, you name it, families, and so on, story after story. The social media exploded. I'm going to read you some of the comments. I want you to hear what Muslims around the world are posting on Facebook. And none of these posts were taken down. They're up now. Just listen. Like 9/11, the Mossad did it. In other words, Israel killed Jews in Australia. like the Holocaust when Jews burned and they accused Hitler of doing it, even though the Holocaust is the most documented mass crime in human history. Jews, they sacrificed a few pigs of their own to flip the scales, so people feel sorry for them. The Mossad did it to pressure the Australian government to change its politics. The Mossad did it to prevent reverse migration of Jews from Israel. The Jews did it because they want world sympathy. They're the ones who commit these tricks. The Ramallah News, this is run by Arabs in Judea and Samaria, posted about the terror attack in Sydney. The post received 1,000 comments. 30% of the post said Israel committed the murders in Australia, even though they've got the guys who said they were ISIS members, who were screaming Allah Akbar, and were doing it for Allah. So the facts don't matter. Here are more of those. It's just like the Holocaust. Just as they took the elderly, the sick, and disabled in trucks and burned them and got rid of them, and accused Hitler of doing it to appeal to the world. That was all a lie, and it's been exposed. And by the way, I've got the names of every one of these posters. This was definitely orchestrated by the Mossad, just like the New York Towers. They want the world's sympathy. They're the ones who committed these tricks. For your information, this is the work of the Zionist Mossad, just like the events of 9/11. The Australian government took a firm stance against the entity during the genocide in Gaza. This is certainly the work of the Mossad to pressure the Australian government to change its position. It's clear the Jews instigated it just like they did September 11th. The goal is to erase the past and justify as what's coming. The operation aims to bring Israel out of its isolation and restore sympathy towards it, a vile method signed by the Mossad. They did it. I have 50 more of these to read. We could be on the air for an hour reading all these comments. This is all coming out of Australia. These are the people they let in. These are the people that are taking over Australia. And it's a warning to us to get our heads out of the sand before this is more and more common here. You've got the two guys that did it. Their car and their home was filled with literature that they were pledging to ISIS. They knew that they were going to be killed, and they wanted to take a lot of Jews with them. And that's why they were screaming Allah Akbar. And yet these morons publish with their names on Facebook, and they still have their accounts, and they're not censored and they're not taken down, that Israel did it.
Yeah. And they're not going to take them down because that's who Facebook is.
Yep. Disgusting beyond words. It is literally a site to incite and organize violence on a scale the world has never seen. It's happening all over the world.
Yeah.
All over the world. And I'm disgusted by it.
I'm just waiting for the first episode to happen in New York after Madami's sworn in. And of course, they'll probably just cover it up. Nothing to see here. And they say, well, the Sharia is the law here in New York. You know, a lot of them are already thinking that the Sharia will become the law. So the Constitution, the local state law no longer means anything. So they can do any of the horrible acts that they believe is okay.
God, I hope you're wrong, but I'm not going to argue with you because it sure looks like that's where New York's headed.
Yeah.
Not a good place to be living at all. At all. We're going to end today with the update from the Candace, Owens, Erica Kirk soap opera that is playing out in real time. Here's the update. On Monday, there was supposed to have been a sit down at Turning Point USA, and Candace was invited live to be broadcast live worldwide on a stream. She accepted. Then she unaccepted, saying that she was afraid of being assassinated if she went to Turning Point. So instead of going to Turning Point where the security is like Fort Knox, I've been told it's impossible to get near the building or get inside. She went to Dollywood and walked around and took selfies with hundreds of people with no security. So sometimes she's afraid of being assassinated, but sometimes not. So instead of doing the live stream, Erica Kirk and Candace decided to have a sit down in person. That's what Candace demanded. So Erica Kirk flew somewhere and they met for 4.5 hours. Now, you remember that the reason Erica Kirk wanted to do this is she's been asking Candace to stop talking about Charlie Kirk's murder, stop accusing everyone at Turning Point of being involved in it, stop accusing her of being involved in it, because it was causing a great deal of grief at the Turning Point USA staff and the Kirk family. Candace said she would only stop if she was asked personally by either her husband or Candace being asked by Erica Kirk. So
That's all I
Erica
have to
Kirk
say.
said, okay, please stop.
It's
So
a
Candace
no
said no.
from me. But you know me.
We played the
I'm just
video
out
the
here,
other day. I'm not
saying
making
what
it
needs to
up.
be.
Well, they had their meeting, and I just got to play this one video. This is what Candace put out today about that meeting.
4.5 hours later, I'm alive. I'm totally fine, and I'm sorry. I was going to do a show for you guys this evening, but I am truly exhausted. Very productive conversation. I asked every single question. I mean, from Egyptian planes to Turning Point USA Faith, and I was very surprised by some of the answers that I got, and I think they were also very surprised when I shared certain intel. This probably should have happened a very long time ago, but I wanted to let you guys know that I am alive, and I will have the full rundown for you guys tomorrow of what transpired. And yeah, I think it was definitely a very big step in the right direction. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
She's alive. She wasn't assassinated at the secret meeting and the secret place that no one knew the secret of where it was. This woman is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I'm alive.
And yet it's been seen millions and millions and millions of times saying how brave she was to appear at a secret meeting at a secret time at a secret place and to survive it.
I'm alive.
Yep.
Wow.
She's alive.
I mean, why would anyone, that doesn't make,
Come on, Will. She's accused 18 different killers or groups of killers of Charlie Kirk, and all of which now want to kill her as well. Not one shred of evidence, not one receipt, as she calls it, no proof, but people keep tuning in to find out if she's been assassinated yet.
Yeah.
The headline from her meeting, post-meeting, it was a very good meeting. It was 4.5 hours, but I'm still alive. I made it.
Yeah. There's been multiple videos of people
one.
calling her out, saying that she's constantly saying she's going to show the receipts. As you said multiple times, I got the receipts. Then they tune in the next day to see the receipts, and she got this whole wild other story, and they completely forgot about the receipts from yesterday. I know people personally that will watch her, and they're actually believing her. And it's, oh yeah, she showed the text messages. She showed the receipts. What? What? It's like she showed
Those
text
are people
messages.
Those brains aren't working, Will. Come on, dude.
She showed text messages from years ago that's not even related to anything that's happening right now. Of course she has text messages between herself and Charlie. Of course she does. It's no secret. But what she's saying is not even reality. Something's wrong with her, Barry. Something's really wrong.
Yes, sir.